We've finally kicked off the 2026 slate of movies with a Netflix release, which I didn't think was going to be all that much, but might have just been quite a delightful surprise. I'm talking about The Rip starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and I have a few thoughts about this one, so let's get into it. Look, this movie isn't the most complex thing, but The Rip is a cop detective thriller that really harkens back to maybe the mid-2000s era of films where these films were a dime a dozen, starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, tried and true stars here in what is just simply an entertaining ride that isn't shooting for a home run. It's something that I like to call a double A movie. You know, in video games, how there's the triple A space with big budget games, and then there's the indie scene with smaller games, and then there's those double A games right in the middle where they try to do something interesting with a concept but aren't exactly shooting for that massive home run. And I feel like The Rip fits into that double A space but for films, where it is just really just trying to give the audience a fun time and then just wants you to move on. And I think this does that quite well, and I think The Rip is the type of film that I want to see Netflix bring to the forefront a little bit more, because I think it fits really well at home with the streaming model. I just really liked how this film was written for the most part. The first two acts are just such an entertaining ride. These characters are going to a house where there has been a tip for money that is illegally held there, and they find more than what they bargained for. And it really questions the morals of these characters, as they can really easily get away with stealing a hefty amount of money without being caught. And so because of that, you're questioning each and every character here. Are they really a good person, or are they just going to take the money? And you can almost agree with someone taking the money, especially in the world we live in now, where it's like, this amount of money is life-changing and could get you out of a really tough situation, and you will never ever get caught. And I think a lot of people would fold and steal the money. And so that dilemma here is so well done, and you're questioning every character. Even the protagonist here, played by Matt Damon, you might think he could be the most crooked of all. And as the film unfolds, you're constantly wondering who is going to turn against everyone, who actually has ulterior motives here. And it's just classic filmmaking that is just done so well. It sticks to a pretty tried and true formula. And I think when it gets to the third act of this film, it does wane a little bit with a pretty generic and unengaging action set piece that just didn't work for me. It wasn't well shot for the most part, or well edited or put together. It doesn't do anything innovative. But those first two acts of just pure writing and giving the audience something to really stick on and question was just so well done, I thought, and made The Rip a really delightful surprise. I thought this was going to be the most basic bitch movie that doesn't do anything that excites me. I thought that this was going to be a movie I was going to probably turn off after half an hour, as a lot of streaming movies tend to do to me, to be honest. But this one really worked. Sure, there are some key things in play here that stick with the Netflix structure of filmmaking, like trying to do something sort of engaging at the very first 5 minutes of the film to hook you in so you don't just be on your phone the whole time. Things like that feel a little bit artificial in terms of its structure, and I can kind of see right through that. So aspects like that just don't work for me and actually pull me away from the experience, because I know what you're trying to do. But as the movie kind of settled and went into what it's actually about, this movie just worked on all fronts. The star power worked. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have worked together so many times now, and they have such excellent chemistry on set. And so the way that these two play off each other just works so well, especially in the dramatic angles. And then the reveals that this film actually delivers on about the end of the second act were brilliant, I thought. It turns the whole film on its head in just such exciting ways. And yes, even though this film isn't exactly designed to be the greatest thing of 2026, it does set the year off on the right foot. It gives you a film that isn't the most complex, but is definitely exciting and delivers on high entertainment. And once again, I do think movies like this should be on the Netflix streaming service. Yes, this movie probably isn't going to get a theatrical release anywhere in the world, but with a movie like this, it's kind of okay. You know, it's not the most ambitious thing ever. And as long as it just delivers on that excitement, it is the type of movie that is made for streaming. And once again, I think is the type of movie that Netflix should target in making, instead of trying to take over big theatrical experiences and make them a streaming service movie. So The Rip, I think, just opened my eyes to both the way that the streaming model is handled currently, what Netflix should be going for rather than what they're aiming to do, and then just delivering on an exciting movie that is worth your time in checking out. And as a score, I'm going to give The Rip a 3.5 out of 5 because I do think this is a good movie that is worth your time. It has the twists, the turns, the excitement, and it's just something good to watch on the weekend. I mean, I can't complain. It was a good start to the 2026 slate of movies, and if this is just the beginning and we're going to build off this, I think we're in store for a pretty great year in films. But anyway, those are my thoughts towards The Rip. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you love the channel, please consider becoming a member, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.